body grows heavier and your spirit lighter. With each wave of sound, your mind becomes more spacious. With each breath, you prepare the inner soil for renewal.
Back in the day, and by that I mean like a century and a half ago, doctors had one prescription for almost anything that ailed you: go to the mountains. And a lot of those doctors pointed their patients at exactly one place: Asheville, North Carolina. I'm Aislyn Green, and this is Unpacked by Afar. Most weeks we roam to different topics. This week we're staying in one place, and in fact, we made you a guide. 5 episodes, 1 city, all of it reported on the ground in Asheville, North Carolina this year. So think of this as your audio guide to Asheville: where to go, what to know, and everything worth unpacking in between. Today, we're unpacking why the city has been in the wellness business longer than almost anyone else. To unpack the history of wellness in Asheville, I called up David Freedman, not just because he lives in Asheville, but because he has some expertise that I think will help us shine a light on this story. You know that moment at the airport when you're digging through your inbox looking for a confirmation number, and as you sift through hotel booking emails and restaurant confirmations, you start to wonder how travel got this complicated? Yeah, me too. Which is why I want to tell you about TripWaffle. It's a free app with one very simple trick. You forward your travel emails, flights, hotels, trains, that stroop waffle making workshop you booked, and it turns the whole mess into one beautifully clear trip timeline. No typing, no copy pasting. The app tells you what you need to know exactly when you need to know it. I just tested it for my upcoming road trip from California to Minnesota, and it just worked. It'll even track your flights and nudge you if your passport's about to expire, which I think we all can agree is a very good nudge to get. It's on web, iOS, and Android, and it's completely free for early users. Go to tripwaffle.com or search TripWaffle in the app stores and throw some booking emails at it. That's it. That's tripwaffle.com.
This summer, say I do.
I am marrying a stranger.
Like never before.
Am I crazy?
It's a whole new Married at First Sight on Peacock.
Thank God I woke up in love.
With new experts.
My name is Dr. Lisa.
My name's Paul Brunson.
More couples.
This could be the start of a very successful marriage.
And more surprises.
Or maybe not.
Everything is just not enough.
You're a little bit crazy.
I don't know what's gonna happen. I want my fairy tale ending.
Married at First Sight, now streaming. New episodes Thursdays, only on Peacock.
I'm an infectious disease doctor with a special interest actually in travel and tropical medicine. So I've written some textbooks on travel medicine, but we retired here 3 years ago. So I was a professor at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. As you might know, Alabama is quite hot and miserable in the summer. So the tradition has always been that when you want to cool off, you come to the mountain.
David has been cooling off here for about 25 to 30 years. And then finally, it was time to retire.
We'd always loved Asheville. And about 10 years ago, large numbers of retirees from all over the country started retiring here for the lifestyle, here, outdoors, artsy, etc. And here we are.
The history of wellness here begins with the history of climatotherapy, which is just what it sounds like: moving to a specific climate as a remedy for chronic health issues. And there were 2 big chronic health issues facing Americans in the late 1800s. The first was industrialization itself.
Remember, we're in the Industrial Revolution, and the northeastern cities especially are just filthy. They're polluted, they're burning coal, respiratory illnesses are absolutely horrible. And here you have a mountain town that has good, fresh air.
European countries also have a strong tradition of escaping to mountain towns for health. And early climatotherapy practitioners believe that a combination of fresh air and altitude was especially helpful.
Asheville is at about 2,000 to 2,300 feet above sea level, and that was deemed by these climatotherapy gurus to be the best altitude for respiratory illnesses. The altitude was not so high that the air was so thin that there was a lack of oxygen, but this altitude was perfect for also reducing the labor of breathing, the work of breathing.
As we're going to hear in a few minutes, Asheville's wellness tourism has evolved into an incredibly diverse set of businesses, believe you me. But in the beginning, the air itself was the big draw. So how exactly do you build a business around air? In 2015, a couple of Canadians put up bagged air from the Rocky Mountains on eBay as a joke. It turned into a global enterprise that sells, quote, pollution-free breathing on the go to people in highly polluted cities. But in the late 19th century, eBay was, of course, absolutely non-existent, so customers still had to travel, and the burgeoning wellness tourism businesses had to think of ways to center their establishments around the product, air, and they did, all the way down to the architecture.
Part of the thing is that you always position your buildings facing the prevailing wind and had big windows. And that's something we forgot before, by the way. Everybody thought we discovered fresh air and ventilation and et cetera for COVID and the need to have lots of airflow, in these sealed buildings and everything like that. We knew that in the 1880s and the 1890s when we were building sanitaria, that you needed huge windows and wind.
And I loved in one of the documents that you sent me, there was a photo of all of these women in beds on a porch. I think it was advertised as a porch bedroom, and it was just side by sides, people sleeping outside or maybe just resting outside in beds. That was quite a powerful visual.
That's actually a very specific term. It's called a
sleeping porch.
And a fundamental aspect of the design of any wellness place, any boarding house, was the sleeping porch.
David tells me that in the 1900s, there were an estimated 5,000 beds in the city for people seeking that fresh mountain air. And for a little context, there are around 10,000 hotel rooms in Asheville today, and the city is much, much larger.
So at that time, there were only a small number of big hotels as we know them. Most, are what we would call rooming houses or boarding houses or whatever, just for people to get away and get to the fresh air. But, 5,000 is a whole lot for the year 1900.
You might remember from our last episode that one of the wealthy tycoons of the time, Edwin Grove, left the industrial district of St. Louis for Asheville on the recommendation of his doctor to help with his breathing. And for the same reason that the fresh air was an escape from factory pollution, it also came to be thought of as therapeutic for the deadliest disease in human history, tuberculosis. In the 19th century, tuberculosis was the leading cause of death in America, with estimates ranging from 15 to 25% of the entire population killed by the disease. Its death rate among young people was even higher, which earned TB the nickname robber of youth.
There were a number of tuberculosis sanitaria that were starting in Europe, and they had the same thought.
So I was curious to know, at the height of all of this medical tourism, how many sanitaria were there in Asheville, would you say?
There were something like, at the peak, about 125, I believe, sanitaria. As far as the TB-oriented sanitaria, there were probably about, I'd say 25 out of 125 were for TB patients.
This conversation reminded me of a story that a guy named Tebby told me on a walking tour through the city.
This town wasn't even founded until after the Revolution, and it wasn't really populated until like the turn of the century. And a lot of the population came from people looking for opportunities and people looking for a cure for tuberculosis. Because we had a doctor here named John Dickson who told the world he had the cure for tuberculosis.
Did he?
No. The only cure for tuberculosis at the time was a funeral.
And then, perhaps not too shockingly, people got nervous. They didn't want all these sick people wandering around, so the city passed strict laws in the early 1900s that segregated buildings into sick houses and not sick houses.
In the 1905-06 fiscal year, we had a war in this town between the city, commerce, and the hospitals, health, and the sanatoriums, and they had a problem with how do we market this place? So many people were coming here. They didn't want to be a place where people come to die, and they didn't want to say that, even though it's sort of true. But they wanted people to come here for opportunity, so they invented a term that we use to this day all over the world. It's called health resort.
Many sanitaria, health resorts, simply moved outside of city limits. But Asheville's future as a health resort destination was cemented and helped create a very healthy flow of tourism until the Great Depression, when tourism pretty much died in every American city. So eventually sleeping porches faded into history, but in the last several decades, an entirely new, wildly diverse array of wellness experiences took their place. And that brings us back to the present era, where I find myself in one of those experiences a little hungover. So I'm sitting in this little meditation area about to head into the salt cave. And I have to admit, I'm feeling a little tired today. Last night went out, had a couple drinks. So I'm curious to see how I'm going to feel on the other side of this experience.
Every Sunday, we cover the week's tech news on This Week in Tech. Hi, this is Leo Laporte from the Twit Podcast Network, inviting you to join me this week for Harper Reed and Alex Wilhelm. We'll talk about the new Chinese AI models. Here they come. But what is China's end game, and how will the U.S. government respond? We'll also talk about the teleprompter operator who made $100,000 betting on Trump speeches. That's this week on This Week in Tech. You'll find it at twit.tv and wherever you get your podcasts.
If you want all of your data in one place, you need the Intuit ERP. I'm Damon John, and I run my growing business on Intuit Enterprise Suite. Learn more at intuit.com/ERP.
So we are surrounded here by 30 tons of Himalayan salt, and it's estimated to be about 300 million years old. We've harvested this salt from the foothills of the Himalayan mountains in Pakistan, and the darker, more purplish chunks that you see are from Poland. Poland is actually where salt therapy originated from. It was the late 1800s, and they started to realize that the salt miners weren't experiencing the same respiratory issues as the other types of miners in the area. So they began to bring people into the salt caves to receive the healing benefits.
The sound of the water, the warmth of the room, the almost solid quiet of the salt is so relaxing. By the end of our session, 20, 30 minutes later, I can't quite tell how much time has elapsed. I'm feeling recalibrated. I do feel oddly recharged and reinvigorated. Yeah, it's a little bit of a vibration, although maybe that's the strong coffee I had this morning, but really powerful. So to understand this effect, I had to go to the salt source.
My name is Jodi Appell, and I own Asheville Salt Cave and Spa here in Asheville, North Carolina.
What year did you open?
We opened in 2012.
2012. So what was that holistic wellness landscape like at that time?
I think, to be honest, if you would walk into our grocery store, you would say, "Who's a massage therapist?" And every single human, even if they were the cashier, would raise their hand.
That's so funny.
So everybody was doing some kind of holistic care, mostly massage, I would think. I'm sure there was lots of yoga instructors and things along those lines. It's kind of always been a little bit this way, to be honest. I went to school in Florida for massage, and the people there would constantly talk about how great Asheville was for wellness.
Really?
So I think that 200-long-year process has continued, and it just keeps evolving and shifting and changing. And
Jodi's salt story started, of all people, with her dad.
20-something years ago, my father unfortunately had a really bad car accident, and he had punctured his lung. He also had really bad asthma and allergies throughout his kind of whole lifetime, real trouble breathing. And he is not holistic at all, which is impressive. He's very much a pharmacist, but he was driving to visit me long before I lived in Asheville. I lived in Greenville. And he was traveling down in Williamsburg, Virginia. And so he stopped there, and there was a salt room. He called me because I had done massage and worked on animals holistically and a number of other things, hydrotherapy and stuff. And so he was like, "Hey, we found this place, and it says it's really great for breathing. And you know me, I have all these issues." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll be honest, Dad, I don't really know much about salt, but it kind of sounds hokey, but it's $20.
Yeah.
Go do it. How bad could it be?" Well, it changed his whole life. 2 or 3 weeks after he had called me and said he hadn't really had to use his rescue inhaler for that period of time. And that was the only thing he could really correlate it to.
After learning a great deal about salt therapy, Jodi finally agreed to open the spa with her dad. It's one of the many modalities of wellness therapy here in Asheville. I tell her about the many things I found during my visit. Aura photography, hydrotherapy, even someone called the breath nurse.
Yeah, she's great. It goes from, like breath work to, yoga classes. It goes to things, I got to be honest, some things I don't even really know what they are sometimes because there's so many. Yeah. And it's so vast and people are bringing all sorts of unique things like on wellness level. Yeah. We've had things like scalar waves, which I got to be honest, I don't really understand it. But I do feel like there is like a really great spread. Like for any weekend, there's going to be something to feed the soul, right? Yeah. Whether we're looking at my thing is yoga or I hate yoga and I want to do Tai Chi. Great. There's different classes that involve pools or, like getting in the water. There's like a lot of sauna and cold plunges kind of coming up. That seems to be kind of a new trend. Yeah.
And let's not forget the experience we opened this episode with, the sound bath.
Hi, my name's Kristen. I am a sound therapist. I've been doing this for about 5 years. Got my start here at the Center for Spiritual Living, Asheville, as we play these chakra bowls, 7 of them, before every service, just to set the tone and get the stress to relax and find that peaceful center.
Well, we just spent an hour having a wonderful sound bath. And we're looking at a carpet filled with instruments. So could you walk me through a few of the really kind of unique ones or ones that you think have cool sounds?
Would you like me to play them as we do? Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you.
So crystal bowls is one of the mainstays of any sound bath. That's a crystal bowl.
Okay.
C notes. H frequency like 432 hertz. Okay, and then you have many different Himalayan bowls. It's another tone. Couple more. Himalayan bowls. That's kind of the foundation, and then you can build from there. Like we have the chimes here. There's a gong. That's the loud version of it. And I have a harp, some gentle chimes, there's drums. So it's a culmination, it's a sound journey. It's by painting a vibrational picture of starting off sweet and building in, rising and falling, and just letting the imagination go on this beautiful journey to soothe the body and your mind and your spirit.
That's amazing. Why do you think that Asheville is such a unique place when it comes to wellness? Because there are a lot of different ways to access it and a lot of people who seem to be drawn here for that kind of work.
I think it's like some type of a vortex here that just draws people. It's loving and grounded and spiritual. People come because they feel good and there's a really good sense of community on all levels. It's not just a retirement community. There's young people here, a lot of outdoor activities, from rafting and kayaking to sound healing and lots of wellness. So people are just attracted to the energy. I think we just feel good, and we were known as the happy city.
I love that.
Whatever your interest, I'm sure you can find something here in Asheville.
People have been coming here to feel better for a century and a half, and honestly, I think it still works. We have several more Asheville episodes for you to enjoy, so check out the feed. Next up, the little college in these mountains that quietly rewired American art. I'm Aislyn Green, and this is Unpacked by Afar. We'll see you in the mountains. Unpacked is a production of Afar. This episode was hosted by me, Aislyn Green, and produced by Nikki Galtland and Chromatic Media. Music from Chris Collin and Epidemic Sound. This podcast is part of the Airwave Podcast Network. Visit airwavemedia.com to listen and subscribe to their other fine shows like Culture Kids and the Explorers Podcast.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.